Pro Football Weekly is grading every team in the league on their post-lockout moves. Right now we're talking NFC North. And the Chicago Bears won that division last year, but I think a very questionable offseason. You gave them a D.
I think we start with the offensive line and say, why wasn't it improved? It was one of the worst units in the NFL last season. They lose Olin Kreutz, who at worst is the heart and soul of that group. No major upgrades on the offensive line, taking chances on some guys like a first-round pick and Chris Spencer. I don't know, trading Greg Olsen for Roy Williams, essentially swapping those two. I just don't like the moves they made for most of the offseason.
Yeah, very questionable. If Roy Williams has kind of a renaissance there, then maybe it's a good offseason. The Detroit Lions, such a great story coming in, a good draft, but a C+ in their moves.
You know, I think they could have done a little bit more. Some people wonder whether they were going to be in the Nnamdi Asomugha, Jonathan Joseph sweepstakes. Ended up getting two good linebackers, Justin Durant, if he stays healthy, Stephen Tulloch, good middle linebacker. But Eric Wright was their solution at corner. I don't know about safety. LaShore is out. They brought in a couple running backs. They're good, but not a great offseason.
Yeah, the LaShore injury really seems to take them back just a little bit. The Packers, great offseason really by just getting their guys healthy, but then the moves they made, relatively quiet. You gave them a B-.
You know, when you consider Super Bowl teams, usually their rosters get rated, and they lost some guys, but they had the depth to do it. You know, they made smart decisions on guys like James Jones, John Kuhn, two locker room favorites. They brought both of them back. Obviously, losing Colin Jenkins hurts, but I think for the most part, they did what they had to do and sustain the big hits.
Yeah, and like we said, getting guys back from injury, that depth was so good, might not hurt them. And finally, the Minnesota Vikings, you gave them a D+. Really questionable.
If Donovan McNabb comes out and has a renaissance season, you know, turning back the clock like you were talking about a minute ago, they could sustain some of these big things like losing Sidney Rice. You know, Bryant McKinnie was just recently cut. Ray Edwards will be a loss at defensive end, but I just don't see any upgrades in these positions. Charlie Johnson, you know, is going to be your starting left tackle.
Yeah.
Michael Jenkins. I just think the McNabb thing was a strange move considering you drafted Christian Ponder.
Yeah, and losing Rice, I was kind of surprised they didn't get a bigger name receiver than Michael Jenkins. Just not sure if this team's any better than last year. That is a look at the NFC North. For full coverage of the NFL, check us out at ProFootballWeekly.com.